Today, we're going to talk about book marketing for fiction authors, and specifically, how do you make book marketing work for you? And I'm really excited to dig into this. And maybe before we do, let's do a quick intro. Gala, you want to start?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Gala, and I'm an author, and I also am a writing coach. And um, I also do a service that I call Publishing Strategist, where I help people figure out if they want to do traditional publishing or indie and like how to build their careers. But I have published 9 books with my co-author under the pen name Willa Drew. So believe me, we have tried it all marketing wise. So I'm very excited to share the marketing hands-on experience that we've had and what worked for us and what didn't, and what you guys can try as well for yourselves.
That sounds great. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Barany. So I am an award-winning science fiction and fantasy author with 12 books under my name. Every series, I have 3 series out, and I was just noticing that each book and how can I say this? I have won an award in each series. That's what I'm trying to say, which is pretty awesome. I write fantastic adventure stories with strong women heroines, some of it very action oriented, some of it a little quieter. And I have for over 20 years, I've been helping authors, writers get their books out there. And now I'm specialized in science fiction and fantasy authors. And I help you with finishing your first draft, editing, revising, getting it ready for publication, and marketing. And like Gala, I have tried many things. I've been published in fiction for 15 years, tried lots of things. And just caveat, one thing we're not going to talk about today is ads. Both of us aren't super experienced in that. There is a way I have used ads in a very targeted way, and we can mention that. But really, our goal here today is help you figure out how can you make it work for you? And I wanted to, I have like 4 tips that we're going to talk about. Yep.
Yeah.
4. And I started out pretty much when I published my first novel. I had been published in nonfiction and I'd been running my business, but I didn't know where my readers were. And so I had the luck and this to be able to do a live in-person little book fair in our local area. And I put out my book list, and I knew that much. I made a book list. I mean, a sign-up sheet. I'm still waking up, y'all. I made a sign-up sheet. I had my books. I don't think I even had bookmarks yet. No, maybe I did have bookmarks because just one novel was out. And people would come over to our table, right? All the authors are out with their tables. And they would come over and they would like look at my book, Henrietta the Dragon Slayer. And they're like, this looks interesting. Oh, yeah. And then maybe they would or wouldn't buy it, but then they would sign up for my list. I had a piece of paper where people could put their name and their email. And that is how I started building my list as a fiction writer, is getting in front of my audience at these little book fairs with other authors. So I wasn't by myself. I put out a piece of paper. I had my books, and I also had my bookmarks. This is the same bookmark we've been using all these years, but now it also has books 2 and 3 on the back. You have bookmarks too. And Gala, you do stickers too. I love
Yeah,
that.
I can go grab some. Hang on, you keep talking. I'll bring my stuff over.
So yeah, I knew kind of early on that I wanted to have physical, not only did I want to have the physical book with me, but I also wanted to have bookmarks. And because I have always had bookmarks as an avid reader, and I love bookmarks, and Gala's going to go show us her thing. So I'm curious, before we dive much further in, for those of you who are joining us live, what do you write? What do you like about book marketing? Ooh, look at that. Show us what is it you got there, Gala?
I have so many things. So first of all, I want to say that a lot of people who are considering going to events are scared and worried that if they only have one book, it's not worth going. Then going to an event, they have to have a lot of different things. I think that you can always start with local events where you do not have to pay for a lot for travel and for staying at a hotel. This way, you can only pay for the table fee if there is a table fee. And sometimes there are places that are actually free, like libraries and city events, could be actually free if you're part of, like, I'm part of California. Oops, I'm part of the California Writers Club, and they actually have an event that is free where people bring their books. So having one book should not be a deterrent. And there absolutely are events that you can join for free locally. If the budget is a concern, you'll still have to drive there. But if you look around, you can totally do it. So when you go with your one book, capturing the newsletter, because we're going to talk about newsletter, I will always going to say capture people's emails. It's super important. You can do it just by asking, and it kind of really depends on how extroverted you are and how communicative you are. There are also other ways to get their email without necessarily having them write things down. You can offer something to them. And nowadays, there are all of these QR codes. So I want to show you some of the things that we were putting QR codes on. So we, for example, have a little tab, and then there is a QR code on the back that leads to sometimes just the website, sometimes to a goodie. And then if they go, and it's basically going to book funnel. And then if they download the goodie, then that automatically captures the email address. And the goodie needs to be interesting enough. Another thing that we did is we had something to raffle. Like, we can say, usually not the book, because that sort of prevents people from buying the book, because, like, oh, what if I actually win it? But something other book related, like a little gift basket, and you say, oh, scan this will enter you into the gift basket, and if it's, come back at 3 o'clock and we're going to raffle. So that, first of all, is going to bring some people back to your table, which is super convenient. And second, you're going to capture their email addresses because they are going to be interested in the raffle. So they're just like other creative ways. What we also have bookmarks, and we have bookmarks that are like book specific, like you do. For example, this is one, and my daughter actually drew
So
the
cute.
puppy
I
and
love
the cover for the book. If anybody's looking for a person to create your character art, my daughter is available, and that's she also did it. And we also have bookmarks that are actually for the entire Villager universe. And because we started writing sweet, and then afterwards we ended up writing some spicy stuff. So we have a bookmark that is like, oh, sweet stuff,
I
spicy
love
stuff. So
it. That's so great. I
um,
want to point out how creative you are with your giveaways, and the QR codes are now more normalized today, putting those on. I have in my other life, well, in my adjacent life, I'm working on a film, and I do have a QR code on the book. It's actually a postcard that we made for the film. And you have some more things. So I think
so
this
yeah, so we have stickers, as you can see, again, the same thing that my daughter drew. These are just the covers of all the books,
yeah,
just kind of to promote the series, for people to put that. So, you
all
know,
right, good
it
boy.
doesn't have to be, if you don't have a drawn character, it doesn't have
Yeah,
to be that. This is made in Canva, right? So there's a nobody drew this, guys, right? It's
I love
fairly
it. Can I have a
straightforward.
sticker pack? You could do a sticker pack. So something that I
Yeah.
do also, once I start building my list, and when people get on my list after downloading a free copy, so this is now jumping over to giving away free books, I guess through BookFunnel,
Yep.
um, which I use the group giveaways for. I also offer bookmarks. I mail bookmarks to people, up to 6 bookmarks, because that's a regular first class stamp. Out of the country, it's 2 to 3 stamps, depending on the location, but it's worth it if people ask for them. Ooh, that
Yeah,
looks like
these are
sure.
character cards. So this is like a little bit about the character.
Yeah, character
Mm,
card. So
yeah,
great.
so
Oh my
you
goodness.
can,
I might have to hire your okay, so that's and postcard size. So look at you've got postcard size, you got bookmark size, you have
yeah.
brochure vertical, horizontal. I'm going to be at Worldcon, guys. I'm going to be at World Fantasy Con in Oakland in October. I'm going to have a table in dealer's room. This is the first in-person event as an author that I've done in many years, and I'm really excited. There's going to be a open to the public book fair day, and I got to get ready. I am like, okay, do I want stickers? Do I want character? It would be fun to do something for this. I don't have any bookmarks for my
Yeah.
sci-fi. mysteries. So I put in the chat, if those of you can access that, how to sell your novel at book festivals and book fairs. And it's written by me and my husband. I interviewed him. He is so, so good at standing out in front of the table and saying, what do you like to read? What do you like to read? And really getting, and then directing people, not just to our books, but to everybody's books. And really with so much in love and enthusiasm. And I didn't realize how good he would be. He's like the front man there, and I'm behind the table taking money and smiling and chatting quietly, and he's like out there, and it's so great.
In his
So
element.
yeah, so bring someone. That's another thing. Like
I would agree.
I'm arranging to have help, not just me, but at least I'm actually seeing if I can get my actors to come, because it's Henrietta the Dragon Slayers, the little short film, in costume, which would be great. But barring that, my husband will be there 2 of the days, and he is going to be awesome helper. So bring a helper. Don't do it by yourself.
And you can anywhere from just needing to go have a pee break to you're on so much. And another thing is, I'm going to say, if you're doing an in-person event, depending on how big it is, I would say at least a day off for yourself, maybe 2 or 3. Like if you're doing a big con that is multi-day, please schedule at least like 2 to 3 days where you are pretty much off, because just unpacking from the event and the emotional, no matter how extroverted you are, I am a fairly extroverted person. You are too, right? All things considered, it does take an emotional toll to be consistently talking to so many people. So you need to take care of yourself and make sure that you have that buffer. Don't schedule things back to back. Allow yourself some downtime. But yeah, so if you have one book, totally worth going. If you don't have a big stand behind you or some fancy things, it's still worth going, because you still can get the people in. You are gonna also learn how to talk about your book. I literally repeat this spiel hundreds of times, depending on, like, if it's, especially if it's a 2-day event. You can see what resonates with people, because at the beginning I was saying, oh, this is a book about a screenwriter, a person who wants to be a screenwriter and who wants to be a director, and how they fall in love, and people like glaze over, pass
Yeah.
by. And then I said, "Oh, he comes into a bar with a fake ID, and then they can't find each other." People are like, "Oh, what happens next?" That is a hook that, so you can test all the different hooks,
Yeah.
you can have conversations, you can see what works. So this is also kind of market research for you, and you need to treat it as, oh, I am seeing what people are reacting to.
Yes.
And you repeat it so many times, it really helps you, like, figure out your spiel. You're going to collect, and you're going to meet other authors. You're going
That's
to
always
also meet other authors, which is another reason why having somebody else there with you is important, because then you can actually walk around yourself. You're not sitting at your booth 100% of the time. You can walk around and you can kind of chat with other people, take their cards, take their things, and especially if they're in the same genre as you or subgenre as you, those are the people that you're going to go and cross promote with, which is next part of our advice today.
Exactly. And I dropped 2 more articles in the chat, and they're going to be part of the replay. One is what to bring to a book fair to sell your books, also written by my husband. And the third one, my husband wrote this. It's awesome. And it's just what you were saying, how to write the perfect pitch to sell your novel in person. And it's all the different ways to pitch, really briefly. So check those out, practice. Now, let's segue to cross promoting with other authors. Say you meet them in person at a book fair, say you meet them online on social media, say a friend of a friend, you meet them, or you meet them through your writing community. Now, what do you do to cross promote? Now, I had this situation. I had written YA fantasy. I had written and published my sweet paranormal romances. And then I was coming out with something completely different, my sci-fi mysteries. And I'm like, who is my audience and where do I find them? I can't, yes, some of my audience will come with me, but not all of them. So I started asking around and getting some of my friends to put an announcement in their newsletter when the first book came out. And I didn't quite know, but my friend who writes urban fantasy, CP writer, she was like, "Ooh, I want to promote this." And she was excited. And for her, this was a good complimentary title to put in front of her audience. And I had no idea. So that's the other thing. You don't always know who else will be interested. Well, of course, urban fantasy readers would be interested. It's adventure, it's hijinks, it's a little darker than my other things. And yeah. And then also I had some other friends promote it, like my sci-fi romance writer friends, and then another friend who writes like widely from the sexy romance to the sci-fi to like all over the place. And she's like, of course my readers will be interested in what you have, Beth. So it was also a great experiment in market research, trying to figure out where is that sweet spot of that cross in the middle where we all overlap. So that was really heartwarming for me, and also kind of helped me take those baby steps at the beginning for the cross promotions before I got up and running on BookFunnel, which I'm a huge fan of, and I cross promote there all the time in the group promotions. And I even set up my own group promotions about once or twice a year, where I'm the one who initiates the group giveaway. And I'm just going to drop that into the chat, the one that I initiated. I made the banner, I set the requirements. Of course, it had to be women warriors in science fiction and fantasy, right? Like I made it really targeted, because I play with, how do I get in front of the mystery audience? How do I get in front of the sci-fi audience, the fantasy audience? So I'm constantly experimenting. And so I would also say, underscoring everything that we're talking about, is experiment and see what you like and see what you don't like. So I just put in the chat my current giveaway that ends at the end of this month. So that's what I have to say about cross promotion. It's kind of general, but I encourage you to talk to your fellow authors and talk about doing swaps. And it can be as simple as, can you please put my book cover, my book blurb, and my buy links? And that could go right to your website where you have all the other buy links, or you could use a fabulous bookstoread.com link, which will have all the vendors on it. It's a free service that Drafted Digital puts out. So that's what I have to say about book, cross promotions. Yeah, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah. Remember, everyone, that I, in my corporate life, was a project manager, and I am enamored with spreadsheets. so, so with that caveat in place, what I recommend is having two spreadsheets. One spreadsheet is where you are going to put information about all of these authors. For example, you were at the event, you collected all of those cards. And one thing about marketing is that if you do not block your calendar to do marketing activities, they just do not get done. It is very hard to have a good marketing strategy and a good active marketing life if you do not actually sit down and do it. And whether it's half an hour every day, or half a day once a week, or 3 days once a month, I absolutely don't care, whichever way works for you. I tend to do it one day a week, or like half a day a week, but it takes a lot of time, and it's like time versus money. You can spend money on it. If you don't have money, it takes you time. So part of that 2 or 3 day buffer after the event is you take all of those cards and other things that you got from those other authors, especially the ones that are in your genre, but you have a spreadsheet and you put their names, their websites, however you contact them, what genre are they, and then you're going to create, like, I have like a little email, and I say, hi, Beth, I was so lovely meeting you at blah blah event. I mentioned that you said that you would be interested in a swap. Here is a link to my swap spreadsheet, or if you don't have a swap spreadsheet, I'll tell you about it in a second. Or please email me. I'm so interested. I usually send my emails on blah blah day, or I'm open to have people on my newsletter once a week, whatever you come up with. And then you basically take that and you send it to them. And I just put check marks, or I put the dates. Okay, a column sent. And I said, okay, this was sent, this was sent. And then follow up. We're so busy. We're so, so busy. Please follow up. I would say at least 3 times, but like 5-time follow-up is probably totally fine. Like, I love I when I go to a dentist or to a doctor, I'm like, I will sign up for an email follow-up, for a text follow-up, and for a call follow-up, please all 3, because
Yeah.
I will still probably forget. I still miss appointments sometimes, and I add it to my calendar. So do not be afraid, and at least following up 2, 3 times is totally normal,
Yeah.
and see how people respond, and you're gonna automatically from that one event probably book a bunch, and you're gonna say, "Oh, what do you want to feature?" And then I would like you to feature this. For
Mhm.
the ease of your own life, it's going to take some time to set up, so you don't have to do it the very first time, but with time, if you create your own spreadsheet, you can basically, like, if your newsletter comes out regularly, you can actually have slots. Like, I have a document where you basically have, this is the newsletter, it's going to come out on this day. On each newsletter, I only feature one person or two people, and you leave them slots, and they basically go and fill that information out themselves. So all you need to do is come and see, did anybody sign up? And then you feature whoever is there. And then I usually create like a media kit for a book that I want other people to promote. So pick one book, or if you don't want it to be a book, or if you don't have a book, like for people who are still writing and you don't have a book that is out even, you can have that lead magnet, and you can have that on your book funnel, and you can give that to people so that they actually are sharing your free lead magnet, and then you are collecting people on the newsletter. So again, this could be a whole conversation about how to do that,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have all of this done at once. I My main recommendation is, if you do go to an event, write it all down. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe it's me and my ADHD, all of those cards and all of those intentions of contacting people, they like in a month evaporate, and then I hunt, I'm like, yeah, I wanted to talk to that author, but like I don't know who they are and where they are. Just like
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah,
Yeah. That's
I'm gonna stop here.
I love that. I love that you're so organized. We could teach a whole class on that. I too love spreadsheets. You can have a Google form that people fill
Yeah.
out. Um, or you can do it through something like BookFunnel where you don't have to, it's all handled for you. That's what you're paying for. So you can do it yourself, right? Time or money. And I love your suggestion about a dedicated time to work on book marketing. I tend to do Saturdays. I spent 2 hours this Saturday working on the newsletter, but also playing around with, I'm going to serialize an unpublished novel. So I was playing with that as well. So I try and do Saturday afternoons, spend an hour or two. So I'm curious to see if anyone has questions. We are going to wrap up here, but I want to talk about, so today we talked about making book marketing work for you. And we're really just giving you some options. But notice some people really don't want to be online and they'd rather do in person. Yes, lean into that. Some people love social media and they lean into that. Some people want to use network directly, do go directly to other authors and organize swaps, or you want to use a tool like BookFunnel. So something that we touched on was newsletter. I've been a big believer of newsletters since even before I started my business. And I started collecting names in my first presentation I gave as a writing coach. And then same, like I said, I went to a book fair, I had a list. I really understood the value of newsletters because I've been an avid reader of newsletters and newspapers and magazines and media all my life. So I highly recommend, even if you're just getting started and you're looking at your first publication date, even keep your own spreadsheet, even have a section in your own Gmail contact database. But when you get ready to publish, get a real newsletter service like MailerLite, like there's some free ones out there, or like Substack. Substack is
Substack, yeah. Substack is a great first introductory newsletter. You keep your emails here, and then once you're ready to have a more sophisticated newsletter provider, you can take it from here and you can transfer it there and build things. So I think one thing to understand about Substack versus a newsletter is Substack is basically, you have one. I feel like they were going to allow you to build more introductory emails, but you basically have one introductory email right now. I think when a person signs up, they get one email from you saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like a can one where you need to make sure you introduce, and the people know who you are and why that is in their inbox. And afterwards, it's You write something, you send it, you write something, you send it. And for vast majority of authors, especially at the beginning, that is plenty. That is plenty. You really, that is all you need to get into the habit of collecting the leads and of sending the emails out, because those two are habits that you have to build that will take some time if you have
Yeah,
not done it in any previous iterations of your previous
absolutely.
professions. If this is the first time you're doing a newsletter, it takes a while to be comfortable collecting leads, sending consistent emails, collecting leads, sending consistent
Okay.
emails.
And let me answer this big question that I had and you may have, which is, what do you say in a newsletter? This really tripped me up for a really long time because, and I couldn't get a straight answer from any of the book marketing coaches out there. It was very annoying. Uh, and essentially, you have to put yourself in the reader's place. What do people want to experience when they pick up your book? Do they want a thrill ride? Do they want the cozy? Do they want intrigue? Do they want like kind of the scary, oh no kind of feeling that thriller and horror and the darker stories can bring? So you want to see if you could put a very, like I think in flavors a lot, like the flavor of your books. Well, that's the same flavor of your newsletters. So I'm kind of like part cozy, part adventure. So I talk about, and I hardly say much about myself, but I'll say, we had an adventure. We went to New York. That's it. That's all I'll say. We went to New York. And then I also put pictures, like sometimes of my cats, which is cozy, or sometimes this last week it was of, travel, the airplane window and the view of the city and, of New York City, and just little bits, and smiles, people smiling, me and my husband. So that's a little bit of the cozy side, adventure and cozy. That's how I would qualify it. So see if you could qualify it. Are your books big marshmallows? Are your books spicy? Spicy, maybe sexy, spicy, like, ooh, little danger, little thrills, right? And then you want to think of, how do you present yourself to a stranger using that value, using that flavor? And then think about, what do readers want? Readers want to know a tiny taste of your book. They want to know a tidbit. They want to know the sale. They want to know the buy link. Sometimes they want to participate. And that, down the line, you can figure out ways to get them to participate. I've been playing with silly polls. If a fantasy character was in a sci-fi setting, what would the character be and what would they be doing? And then I give them 4 choices and they can write me back with A, B, C, or D. It's a very simple way for them to interact. But readers kind of want to connect with us, right? That's why a reader joins an author list. They somehow want to connect, either to know when the next book is coming or to get a little closer to the author. So we don't have to give our whole personality, or we're not revealing our whole lives. We're just giving a little tiny bit that reflects, that's in alignment with the vibe or flavor or color or value of our books. So that's how I figured out what to communicate. And I keep it real. I don't invent. And when there was hardship in my life, my father was dying, I'm like, yeah, my dad's dying. This is all I can manage, you guys, here, and then, notes of sympathy, but like, that's a real person on the other side, So it's really interesting developing these relationships with readers who all you have is like the email connection. And just little sidebar, like all my beta readers have come from my newsletter, most of them, a few from social media, but mostly from newsletter. So my goal, and think about what your goal is to develop a long-term relationship, so that I want readers on my list who like all my stuff or most of my stuff and like sticking around for the news that I offer. And most importantly, want that next book.
Yep. I think that to me, the newsletter serves 2 purposes. One is I want to be in as an author on that person's brains, because I'm not releasing a book every month, right? I'm not releasing a book every week. And if I'm only releasing 1 book a year, or let's say we're in the indie world and I'm releasing 3 books a year, that's still 3 times a year, right? That there are so many other books and so many other authors that people can sort of like switch and go, and now they sort of forgot about you. Not like forgot, but this is a way to be top of the reader's mind. So they're like, oh yeah, Beth Barany is an author, or like, oh yeah, Gala Russ, yeah, how's she doing? I sometimes like treating newsletters a little bit like I want to treat chapters. So I sort of want at the end of the newsletter for the person to look forward to the next newsletter, right? So however you end the chapter is because you want the person in genre fiction to go and it's like, oh, I now have to go and read. So having something there's like I like ending. I think ending newsletters, promising something that something is coming, especially if that's interesting to them, saying, "Okay, well, in the next newsletter, I'm going to actually tell you how I wrote the first line of my book," or in the next newsletter. And for some people, it might not be interesting, but that creates a little bit of that, not cliffhanger, but like, oh yeah, I sort of want to know. And then when the next email comes, like, this is how I created my first line, they're like, oh yeah, I did want to find out about that. So that reader curiosity applies to the end of your novel, to the end of your chapters, just as much as to your newsletter. Like to me, every newsletter is sort of a little chapter about um however much you want to share about your life. You don't have to share anything about your life. I tend to probably overshare, so you don't have to.
I love that.
The other,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just want to say what a great idea that I hadn't thought of. I'm going to try that. So thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just kind of put something that, oh, we're going to do in the future. I also 100% agree with you on anything that will have the people reply. It absolutely is vital for your social media, for your whatever newsletter provider. It's going to help with that. But it's also great to create that social connection because anything that is a poll is great because people who are less likely to actually like write a whole email to you will still click on it. And there are some, depending on what you're doing, some ways I think in Substack to do a poll, but like there are ways to do it, or you can just say, oh, email me and say A, B, C, O, D. Asking for feedback in general, like I do, not frequently, but I do from time to time a Google form where I say, hey, there's just a one question Google form or a 3-question Google form. Click on it. So most of the newsletter providers' clicks and replies are really good for deliverability down the road. So you want people to do that, but it also, and this is going to sound very businessy of me, so forgive me, but this psychologically um, creates habits for your newsletter readers that, oh, when I get Beth Barany's newsletter, I click on something. It feels comfortable and cozy and easy and not scary to click on something in her newsletter. Oh, when I get Beth Barany's newsletter, I reply something and she replies back to me. That creates safety and that creates in the brain this kind of like certain level of trustworthiness and trust. So when you come out with your book and here is something to click, and if you have questions, reply to me. Never say if you have questions, that's too generic. You always want to ask a very specific question if you want people to reply.
Yeah.
But the readers already have the trust with you. And that's why asking questions and doing quizzes is important. So many different things.
Yeah.
And we can
So,
probably teach a whole
oh, yes.
course on all of this between Beth
I
and I,
have. I
right?
have taught. I've taught courses on all of this. So this is great. We're going to pause and for today. We're going to
Yeah.
come back next week. We're probably going to do book marketing. I think maybe some more for August. We haven't 100% decided. But if you all have questions about book marketing, let us know. Reply to this chat in the next minute we have, or post it later on this post when it goes live, and or just grab us, tag us on Substack. I'm still learning the language of Substack, and we're here. And of course, we come back every week with a Substack Live about writing, marketing, publishing, the whole shebang, of course, editing. And so if you have questions about any of that, or specialists in genre fiction, between the two of us, I think we have all the genres covered. Right?
Maybe not horror. I don't know.
Right. I know some about it, but no, yeah, I won't touch horror. But I do science fiction and fantasy with romantic elements, and I know mystery as well, police procedurals. Gala, you're an expert in romance, also the romantic subplot. You've got some great classes on that. So if you're interested in getting support from me, I invite you to check out the edityournovelchecklist.com. This is where you can grab a checklist that will help you with a 30,000 foot view of how answering the question, oh my God, my book is done. Now what? How do I edit this thing? So I walk you through that. the beginning of the editing process. And if you like that, you're welcome to join our monthly membership for the Edit Lab for the science fiction and fantasy authors, where we do live edits. Gala comes. If you join by August 4th, you'll be able to come to our August 5th monthly call, where you have the opportunity to send 200 words and we will do live edits. You'll get some live feedback from me, from Gala, and from the other people in the group. We're all working on their science fiction and fantasy. It's a great group. We have over a dozen people. I'm really excited. We've just launched in the last few months, so we're growing this thing. I'm really excited about it. And we do a little teaching, a little writing, and some live editing. What's your offer, Gala?
Oh, right now I always do one-on-ones. And if you're interested in working with me in general and you're like, I'm not sure what I can do with you, I have a 15-minute discovery calls that you can book. And I think that's kind of the easiest way. They're free. There's really not no obligation. It's just we hop on for 15 minutes, we talk. And if you're writing horror and there's nothing I can do for you, I'm going to tell you there's nothing I can do for you. But if you're doing something that I can help, I really love working with beginner writers who are writing their very first novel. I worked with a lot of people who write fantasy and romantasy or romantic fantasy, romance specifically as well. I also work with memoir genre, but I do not do nonfiction books. So nonfiction books is something that I do not do at all. I also like working with people who are trying to figure out what is it that they want to do publishing wise. That's why I call myself a publishing strategist. We can talk about what your budgets, goals, timeline, etc. Is, and figure out if traditional publishing or indie publishing or some combination, or like what's the best approach for you to go and do it, because that is a big decision and sometimes it's hard to figure it out, especially if you're not very familiar with the publishing landscape. So that could be an easy way to make that decision.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I am going to
I actually
do.
put the chat, Gala, galaruss.com/work with me. You'll see the button for her 15-minute conversation, and go ahead and check out my Edit Your Novel checklist, get on my list, learn about our Edit Lab. We're going to pause here for today. We do have another Substack Live coming up at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern for the creative entrepreneurs. And the topic for that is going to be, I'm just checking, how values reveal business opportunities. And this is, I mean, you're all welcome to come. We are definitely going to be putting on, instead of our writing hats, although today we're talking about marketing, which is adjacent to sales, but we're going to talk about how values underpin your business opportunities with the creative entrepreneur hat on, with people who want to sell services and products directly to their audience. So you're all welcome to come, and we will hopefully see you there, and we'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.